Hello, everyone. This is Silk coming to you with Operation Dark Horizon. Um, just kind of want to do a quick shout out to everybody here. I was invited by Sky Marshal and the rest of the crew to fill in here for Germany and see if we can finish this game here and have some fun. So, which was an absolute delight for me. I could not imagine getting the opportunity to play with Sky Marshal and his crew. It is by far the prettiest board I have ever seen. My board is in the works certainly, but it will just be a pale imitation of what Sky Marshall's put together. Quite lovely. So I have played with, as it turns out, everybody in this crew except for Sky Marshall. It's the first time that he'll be playing with me, or I'll be playing with him, kind of same way. So that's a little bit of why I think I was kind of selected to fill in here, is that everybody else at least kind of knew who I was and how I went. So I do appreciate the invitation. Thank you very much. And then as purpose of this video kind of is just to do a quick little overview on my kind of opinion of the state of the game, where things are at. And then I'm also going to do a disposition of forces, just because I'm kind of working off of the map that I kind of got from Dan, and we're going to go over things, just make sure everybody knows that all the units are where they're supposed to be, and if there's something I need to correct before I do turn 9.1, I just kind of need to know that. So that's what this video is for. Kind of quick take on the breakdown. This is a very different game from what a lot of you would normally see at Global War 36, and which should be pretty interesting in its own right. Normally, the Axis get out to a pretty big lead. They get out to 9 or 10 points, and then the Axis and the Soviets work together to kind of chip away at that point lead, and certainly turns 16, 17, 18, that point lead starts to falter, and by turns 19 or 20, often that's the end of the Axis. They've slipped below, and then the game kind of shifts to a race between the Soviets and the Allies for who has more points. That's not going to be the case in this one. The Allies have a massive lead. I've got them down here with 10 points here. Um, they're dominating in victory cities. They're dominating in their just general points available overall. And that total is going to have to come down if we're going to make a game of this. So what you're actually going to see, and this is kind of what happened at the on the British turn there, the Germans and the Soviets are now both fighting the Allies. The Soviets went ahead and jumped in to help protect the German fleet and keep the pressure on the British, which would seem like kind of an odd choice in most games. But in this case, if the Soviets don't prop up the Germans a bit, they're just going to get overwhelmed, and the Allies will have a kind of an easy coast to victory. So this is going to be a different kind of game. You're going to see some things that I think you wouldn't normally see, and hopefully we're gonna have some fun with that. Just as kind of an overview of where we are at with the points, the Axis have just two victory cities, right? No, three, because we got Sydney. So the Axis have got three victory cities. They've got Berlin, Tokyo, and Sydney. Um, in a lot of cases, you'd see Japan with Nanking, but Wintermute's going off doing other things. So Nanking's going to be an allied city. It's probably going to remain that way for a pretty long time. I think if Wintermute may come in and snipe it later on after he's done with some other things, but Allies are going to hold that for a while. And likewise, because he went after Sydney, Calcutta's in pretty good shape. And then for the others, um, London is a bit under a bit of siege. That's kind of our plan. So the Allies are going to be fighting for that one. They did retake Paris, so the Germans are going to have to take that one back, which shouldn't be too difficult. I expect that'll probably fall on 9-1 without too much trouble. Then the Soviets, of course, have their two that they're used to keeping. But then you kind of go into the rest of the strategic objectives. The Germans do have the Spanish Civil War, but only for as long as they hold Madrid, which is going to be a bit of a challenge for them there. The Italians, of course, are not at war, so none of their stuff even scores. And Japan's got Kita Patai for now with their fleet, but the Americans are going to start pressing for that, so they're gonna struggle to score their points. Um, Meanwhile, the British have their two until they lose one of their core territories to take Sons of Sets away. They have not yet built the railroad, but that's just 4 IPP, and they'll score this point right away. Um, and then this one, World Power. These 2 points cannot be lost for the rest of this game. This is a big leg up for the Allies. A big part of why I think the Soviets are going to be fighting them for at least the foreseeable future. because they're going to have to lose points in these other spots in order to get dragged back down, just because these two cannot be lost, and that's a big plus for that. Chinese Civil War, the KMT is going to have to get off its butt if it wants to actually score that. We'll see if they make the attempt. And then you've got your American ones. Triumph of Capitalism, they're going to score pretty easily for now. But again, you're going to see the Soviets are kind of going to be going to war with the Allies, I imagine. So that's going to become a real fight between Great Britain and the Soviets for more money. And so this one may or may not end up getting scored as the game goes on. And then, I actually should make sure. Did he take Guam? He did. Do not have him taking Guam. So Guam, Wake, Midway. Not two. Okay. So as far as I know, America is currently scoring Pacific Security there. If their sphere of influence. If that's not the case, let me know. Let me mute. But as far as I can tell, that is currently being scored as American point. They are getting the +1 strategic naval move out of that. And then for the Soviets, they've got their propaganda war of controlling all their cities. Pretty likely they're going to keep that one. I imagine you're going to see them probably go after both Winter War and Soviet technology, and they'll go after this one. And at some point, they may come after me to try to score this one. I may try to come after them to score that one. But the problem is really if either one of us push too hard on the other one, we're going to collapse, and then the Soviets or the Allies are going to kind of sweep to victory. So it's going to be a little bit different of a game. How who goes for what points where is definitely going to change around, and it should be fun. Should be pretty cool. I don't kind of tend to get into my personal strategy just yet, just because I got to make sure I got all the forces correct before I do that. And in that regard, we're going to jump to disposition of forces. This is really kind of for the rest of the players, just so that we're all playing on the same map, mostly, so that I know what I've got to work with and making correct moves. We'll start with A6. It's got a single German coastal sub in it. South in A23, I've got a Soviet submarine, 2 Soviet destroyers, a Soviet heavy cruiser, a Soviet battle cruiser. In the German fleet, I've got 2 transports, a torpedo boat destroyer, a coastal defense ship, and a submarine. In A11, I've got a single British destroyer. That's going to try to mess with us. Over at A22, we've got the British fleet. That consists of 2 light carriers, a damaged battleship, 2 destroyers, a heavy cruiser, and a single fighter. Then we've got in A17 a British coastal defense ship. In A27 I've got a British destroyer and an American destroyer, both on escort duty. In A35 I've got a British heavy cruiser and a British destroyer, both on escort duty. And in A44 I've got a French TBD on escort duty. Meanwhile, for the Americans, in A19, they've got a destroyer and a light cruiser on escort. In A18, they've got a heavy cruiser and a destroyer on escort. And then in A25, I've got 2 German submarines. In port, there's an American carrier and a pair of transports. And then another transport, seemingly in A30. No surprise this would just be hanging out here. Let me know, Hambone, if that's correct, because I would like to think that this sub would have killed this given the chance. So I'm guessing that's actually important, but just not sure. Down off of Panama, we've got the 2 American battleships, 2 destroyers, and a light cruiser. Off of A46, I've got a British destroyer on escort duty, and A48, I've got a German submarine that's raiding. We'll get into the Pacific. In I4, I've got a Japanese submarine. In what is this? I7, I've got a Anzac destroyer, a Japanese submarine, and apparently a Vichy submarine, which at this point should be German. Let me know if that's the case. Oh, as I think about that, that might be French, actually. So yeah, so I've got a Vichy French sub that's sitting in I7. Let me know what that really is supposed to be, because I don't think in any scenario is it a Vichy sub. I12 has got a Japanese submarine. P50 has got the German battlecruiser rating with 2 coastals, a TBD, second TBD, and a light cruiser from the Japanese, along with 2 German submarines. In P-42, I've got a fleet carrier with a tactical fighter on it, transport, heavy cruiser. In port in P-44, I've got a transport. Off of P-53, I've got a destroyer. P-63, I've got a Japanese destroyer. P-64, Japanese destroyer, Japanese sub, Japanese battleship, light cruiser, fleet carrier, light carrier, and then 2 fighters and a tactical. Hanging out in P-73, I've got a battleship, a battle cruiser, 3 heavy cruisers, a destroyer, 3 transports. That should be all of the fleet, as far as oh, no, Mediterranean. Mediterranean fleet. Off of Rome there, I've got a transport and a destroyer for Italy. Hanging out in M4. Hanging out in M4, I've got an Italian battleship, heavy cruiser, destroyer, light cruiser, destroyer, 3 coastal subs. Then in M8, I've got an Italian submarine, 2 French battleships, a French destroyer, light cruiser, and then for the British, 2 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, 3 light cruisers, one of which is Anzac, destroyer, 2 TBD destroyers, and a British transport. I then got a British transport in port in Lower Egypt. And I think I've hit every troop. As far as major units on the mainland, Paris has got 3 infantry and artillery. Normandy's got a single militia. That's it for the French there. Britain's got 3 infantry in London. In the Midlands, they've got 3 infantry, 2 militia, a fighter, a medium bomber, and 2 transports in port. And then they've got a single militia in northern England. As far as I know, everybody should have already had all the German units correct. None of that's been changed, so I'm just going to trust that y'all have that for me. Anything else? Also German boats. Germany in the port in Yugoslavia, which I presume had to get upgraded to a major port earlier for these ships to be here. I've got a heavy cruiser, 2 transports, and then a German submarine in M5 that are hanging out there. That should be that. If there's anything else that I'm missing. Oh, I've got 2 Soviet battle cruisers, seemingly. There's one battle cruiser that I've got an A-22, and I've got other battle cruisers sitting in port in Leningrad. I'm not sure there's supposed to be 2 there. But that's what was on the map, so let me know if that's accurate, because if it is, that's pretty awesome there that Soviet's got 2 battle cruisers. Make themselves a big scary force. So that's it for me. You all see me around on Turn 9.1, which I'll post probably sometime tomorrow. I suspect on January 2nd. I do still have some holiday stuff to do today, but I'll have some free time tomorrow, so we should get. I suspect 9.1 will go up sometime tomorrow, and we'll get this game back into gear here. Take care, everybody. Have a good day, and game on.